What is up, everybody? This is the Instagram Collectors Hockey Collectors Roundtable. This is episode 5. Happy Friday. Really happy to be live at the end of the week as opposed to during the weekend. It's nice to end our work week. Not for Logan and I. We're not working hard right now. But Kelvin is. It's nice to end our week with something like this. And right as we were getting ready to go live, we were having a little debate, and I said, "Hey, let's just save it for the episode here." So I'll introduce what you guys were talking about just to get these people into it because I have some thoughts. But Logan goes, think about the retro acetate Young Guns that are out there right now, and for anybody that doesn't collect hockey, Young Guns are like the premier rookie card for everybody. They're affordable, they're plentiful, probably too plentiful, and it's what everybody tends to go for. So what happens is these sets come out and they release these acetate cards, which look amazing, and they usually just do like the big stars from the past, and they're highly collected. But Logan does not think they are worth the price tag they command. So he asked Kelvin, "What do you think?" So what made you even ask that question, Logan? Because these are very, very popular cards. I'd be happy to bring up a picture here and show everybody. What is it about these cards that just don't quite do it for you?
No, they say it's a retro acetate Young Gun. Well, I mean, I look at a Kane one and I'm like, well, it came out last year or 2 years ago, and it just doesn't seem like it should be considered a rookie or a Young Gun or something along those lines. Yeah, it has the same design, but for the price that they command, it doesn't seem feasible, or doesn't seem like I'd want to take that risk.
So, Kelvin, I just want to throw this out there for everybody. Kelvin, Martin Brodeur does not have a retro acetate Young Guns yet. Mm-hmm. We know it's coming, right? Can we just all agree that we know it's coming? Eventually, he's going to be in the old school setup, right, with the red mask, the all red mask with no real logos on it.
I don't know which card. I don't know which one they're going to use. I think they're going to use like the 92, 93 Upper Deck Star Rookies. Maybe, I don't know.
Is that the one where he's kind of like going to the left and making that save, right?
Yes, yeah, that one.
Yeah. I remember that was my first Brodeur card. If they used a picture like that, though, I mean, like that was going to be my question. Like the picture is what does it. Like look at that Forsberg that's up right now with that Nordiques jersey. I feel like if the picture is good enough, it should command a little bit of a premium just because it's such a unique card, especially for guys that didn't have an actual Young Guns, right? Like I think that's why Brodeur would be a little more desirable, maybe like you're saying with Kane, who's not, because he already has a real Young Gun. You might as well just go buy that for the same price, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What, Kelvin, what would you shell out for a Brodeur acetate Young Guns while I grab this picture here?
Probably like the 200-ish range, probably around there. I don't know if I want to go any higher. Well, I mean, it depends. If it's more rare, then yeah, I'm willing to shell out. It's one of those cards where I'm like, it'll be cool, but I'm not dying for it unless I see one in person and it like kind of like blows my mind. But I think that'll be around my range.
Well, here's the Flurry, and I mean. And this is a picture that Nick posted in that Flurry group that I made. So it's not really showing off the foil really well down here because this is like a hollow foil on the bottom. Mm-hmm. But this is like 100 times better than the picture on his actual Young Guns. And so for me, the picture was so amazing. It commanded an extra premium, especially because he hadn't had a Penguins card made in like 3-4 years. So there were some factors that I looked at that made this, a card that I really wanted to grab. It was probably one of my most wanted cards. But let me ask you guys this. I mean, just fire away because we're just going to lead right into our topic, our first topic of influences here. Are you at all influenced when a card like this comes out and everybody's talking about it? Everybody's messaging you, Matt, you got to get this Flurry. Matt, you got to get this Flurry. Look at this, look at this, look at this. I mean, it was like 20 messages in a week. Does that do anything for you guys? Or are you able to just be like, no, like that, I know it's cool, but that's not going to make it any better for me. Logan's already smiling because I already know what he's going to say. I mean, does it? I mean, Kelvin, come on, you're a little bit like me. Like if I kept messaging you, telling you how awesome this card was, do you think I could eventually like sway you to pony up?
No, I don't think so.
Ah.
I don't think so. I like, yeah, it's cool, but yeah, it's for me. I would have to just see it in person. Like if it's something that wows me, then yeah, I'll pay it. But for me, yeah, we kind of like whatever, another card.
Well, Logan, what about the wow factor though, dude? Why doesn't that acetate? I'm gonna find a picture of the cane right now. Why doesn't the cane acetate, retro acetate young guns wow you enough to spend what they go for? You know, because you were saying they go for around 3, and you don't feel like it should be that much. Why?
If it is that much, but I just feel like I'd rather buy another rookie of some sort, a rookie auto or something. That, you know, I feel like that'd be it'd be worth my money more so than I don't know. I'm gonna say novelty in my mind. And I kind of feel the same way. You know, I'm gonna go on another path. It's like the blast from the past refractors.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like, I mean, yes, it's like to have a Gretzky rookie in as a refractor. That's cool,
Right.
but like, does it need to be?
Yeah, dude, because it's awesome. That kind of stuff is awesome.
I like them a lot actually, but the price, yeah, for me the price is like, I don't know if I want it that bad. And then like you have like Patrick Waugh who has like 3 rookie refractors, so I mean there's always those options. But for the price, I get where you're coming from.
It's an interesting debate because you have to think about too some of the players, like for instance that Forsberg. I should have examples of all these ahead of time. I wasn't prepared to talk about all this, but you look at that Peter Forsberg retro acetate young guns. That's one of the like most recent Forsberg cards to come out in a long time. He doesn't hardly get anything now. So a card like that comes out, and all those Forsberg collectors, because there's definitely a few of them, and they're going to go crazy for those, and the price is going to continue going up until they all have one, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody who didn't originally want one now wants one because they look so amazing. I've told Logan this many times, and Kelvin, I think you're in the same boat. Like Brodeur and Kane have so much out there, like so much out there, and maybe not Brodeur as much, but like there are so many more options for you. And not that Fleury doesn't have a lot out there, but when that card came out, you know, Fleury was like not in anything for a while, and so that was a big chase card, you know, so made me more willing to go for it. But I guess it's easier for you to just back off, you know, some of you guys, because you got all these other cards you'd rather have, right?
No.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
Makes sense.
I still think you should pony up because they're amazing. But I was just kind of curious, you know, just different mindsets for every collector, though, right? Because being able to resist those amazing cards to go for ones that you really do want, I don't think a lot of people have the ability to do that sometimes. So. But then that leads us into, you know, our influences in the hobby and like how we are influenced as collectors and us being influencers ourselves. I don't know how much any of us really are, maybe a little bit, but I know Kelvin influences certain people to spend money, but you know, we won't get into that too much, but just off the top of your heads, you know, like growing up, what kinds of things influenced you as a collector?
Number one, I'd probably say the Beckett.
Ha. Yeah. Oh yeah, baby. How many of you guys like went and circled stuff you wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was it about the Beckett that influenced you? Was it just like being able to see everything from a certain player?
Well, that too. And you know, they always had the top 10 or top 20 cards that are going up in value, or you know, you track them. I mean, it was $5 for a little Beckett, and you know, you have to read the articles and then track like, oh yeah, of course he's doing good, you know, good. And then you're looking through and like, wow, I didn't know that this guy and this guy had cards on the, you know, 2 cards together or 1 card. We're on the same card.
Right.
You know, it was always looking at like, oh wow, this card says this, you know, it's a $5 card, but it says *4, so it's actually 20. Like, you know, in reality, then you go to eBay and you're like, oh, that's only a $2 card, guy. Like, oh, sweet.
Beckett prices, baby. Yeah. When it mattered, for sure. What about yourself, Kelvin? Did you spend some time, you know, a lot of time digging through Beckett's?
I only got 1 copy. I wasn't. They're like one's enough. So then I just had the old one, and then just backtrack. Couldn't get any of the newer ones. But yeah, but mostly for me, I was like, a solo collector, which is me and I guess my Beckett and my cards. I didn't really have anyone influencing me. I just grabbed those dollar packs with like the mishmash of all the old cards, and that's all I had.
Interesting. I mean, we all afforded different things growing up. I mean, I had
Mhm.
times where I couldn't get anything either, and the Beckett was my way of like dreaming about what I could possibly have someday. But that must have been an interesting experience too, because growing up, I think a lot of us that collected as kids, I mean, hung out with your friends, you get your cards out and you're organizing them together. Maybe you're trading. They've got something that you want. You've got something that they want. Now you each motivating each other to try to find a card of that player or open packs to get one or whatever. I could say for sure, collecting with friends that I was, oh yeah, this is a good one to think about too. Yep, I remember that. There's another one I'm going to mention after this that had more of a top 10 for every sport. I think it was called Sports Cards Collector or something like that. I have a copy of it on the shelf back here, but it has a top 10 visual guide for inserts and also for parallels. So there's like a 2-section. I'll have to send you a picture. It's really cool. But stuff like that, man. I collected with my friends looking at the magazines. I always dreamed of cards that I wanted. So like my love for collecting never really died as a kid because of that. Even growing up in, Soldotna, Alaska. We did have a card shop, by the way, believe it or not. There was one there. A town of like 5,000 people. Somebody owned a little card shop on the corner. And then, of course, like in the late 90s, it closed down. So anyway, so moving on, like as we get to our adulthood and we're collecting, where do you feel like your influences come from nowadays? Like what is motivating you? What is influencing you to keep going, to buy, sell, that kind of stuff?
I don't know if I have any influence. I don't know. I guess now, I mean, before I got onto Instagram, so I guess we could go back to when I first got back in the hobby when I was like actually collecting. I still collected by myself. I guess I went to my LCS. I talked to the owner there, and then I hopped on the forums, and that's where you kind of see a lot of the cards, and then eBay as well too. It's kind of like a museum or like a showcase of cards, and you just kind of like scroll through and you see what's cool and what's not.
Right.
I don't know necessarily. I mean, if you call it like showing a card, I guess that's an influence, sure. Because like you see, oh, that's a cool. Like for me, it's like, oh, that's a cool card. I want it, but it's not like an outside voice would tell me, hey, get that, and I'll be like, okay.
Well, I think pictures can motivate us, influence us to chase certain cards. Absolutely, I think that's in any sport. Interesting though. I mean, the forums, that's where it was at. I remember when I got back into it in college, 2010, 11, like I found my way to Sports Cards Forum and is it Sports Card Forum? Is that
Sports Card Forum, yep.
That's right. Yep. Adding an extra S. Oh yeah. Yeah. A friend of mine, Jeremy, who I didn't know it was Jeremy then, who I'm friends with now, who collects A-Rod. We were always battling each other on stuff and like sharing pictures. And so you could say that he kind of influenced me to step up my game a bit. But Logan, did you ever get into the message board stuff? Did you ever forums and all that kind of stuff?
The only one was Hobby Insider, and that was I'd say about, I don't know, a year or two before I got onto Instagram.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, and I use it maybe a handful of times.
Right. But it's nice to go there every now and then. There's some really knowledgeable people there. Al, the big Agilna collector, he asked me to hop on there, and I feel like when a discussion gets going on there, it's really, really good. A lot of really good content, a lot of knowledgeable people sharing back and forth. But there's just not a whole lot of it anymore. So that's too bad. I really enjoy reading some of their insights, some of these collectors that have been around for like 30, 40 years on there, So, obviously we get onto Instagram, and I feel like it'd be nice to ask these newer collectors, like which accounts do you find influence you or motivate you to go after certain cards? Has anybody reached out to either of you and talked about like how nice a certain card is and if their player is in it or how much they want to buy their player now? Because I feel like I definitely see that, I don't know, maybe once a month on my page, just somebody's like, no way, this is so cool. I got to find a Flurry now. You know, does that happen to both of you guys?
Yeah,
That's-
it happens to me. I guess semi often. I guess yeah, because like some cards like they never seen it before, and they'd be like, where's this from? What did like? And then yeah, like I mean just the one I just posted, like the heads up one.
Yeah.
Someone commented, like a Blue Jackets collector is like, oh, he wants to go back and buy a bunch of the lower end ones. So guess I influenced him there.
We need to keep track of how much money Kelvin has influenced people to spend. I think with the way you take pictures, both of you guys, man, like you make nice cards look really good, and I think you guys have both influenced a lot of people to hopefully step up their photo game. But yeah, just the other day, somebody commented about like an SP game used a sticker auto, and I was like, I thought it was nice, but I didn't realize it was that nice. Like, it's my favorite setup. I love the picture. Please help me find one, So I'm like, well, don't mind if I help you spend some money, So as soon as I saw one pop up, I'm like, here you go. So I feel like that happens quite often. But are either of you influenced to do the same? Are you, going through Instagram and you stop and you see a card and you're like, whoa, hold on. Because I think the three of us pretty much know everything that Brodeur, Kane, and Fleury is in at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So does it still happen though where you see a picture and you're like, I'm going to double check on this one, like just to make sure our guys aren't in it? Because when I see a card and I'm like, I know right away if he's in it or not, but every now and then I still check, because like those stinking sparkling diamonds out of 5 or whatever, every time I see one, I'm like, can I just like manifest him in the set somehow? Like, oh gosh, but that happens to me probably more than you guys, because I've only been collecting hockey for a little over 2 years, and so when I see stuff, I'm like, especially when I first saw Logan's page before I got to your page, Kelvin, you made me look for like 10, 15 cards one night. It's like, geez, it was, yeah, because the cards looked so amazing, and I still didn't know jack squat. So, anyways, I don't know. Does that happen to you guys still though, where you will see cards and go look and see if not your player, some other player you can get?
I do that with the 90s stuff. That's that's probably my biggest one, because with the Kane, it's all recent, essentially recent stuff. So I'm like, okay, I kind of know what he's in, or I look at the set right away, right as soon as it comes out. I'm like, okay, he's not in that. All right, good. But yeah, with the 90s stuff more so, as I'll see your guys' pages, and I'm like, oh well, let's take a look back, or see what we can find. Because like today, I think about a 94, 95 Topps Finest refractor of Belfour, and I was like, yeah, I want to get one. So
the OG refractors, baby. I want a Curtis Joseph real bad. So anybody finds a Curtis Joseph refractor from Finest, please hit me up. I got to get one. But the 90s, Kelvin's obviously into the 90s with Brodeur, but I feel like there's still so much to learn about the 90s. Kelvin, do you feel like you know everything about the 90s? Yeah, he's collected in that era. It's when it comes to Pacific too. You could spend a month. I should teach a class on that. Like all of us should get together and teach a class again for recertification, that Pacific, because they just did so many unusual things. And Kelvin, it must be fun for you when you're like, wait, Brodeur does have that out of 20 and you've never seen it, and now all of a sudden it pops up and you just caught off guard by it. Do you do that too, Kelvin? Baseball is a big one for you and I, right? Like,
yeah, baseball's bigger than hockey for me, because there's so many sets I don't even know about. I even talked to you. It was like when I learned about the 2008 Finest Gold X Factors. I was like, I had no idea, and it's cool. And then I'm just like researching, seeing, and then I noticed like every single card has one of 2 serial numbers, and
right.
Yeah, it's just fun to learn. And then there's Baseball Cardpedia, which is like a godsend. Like that
page is awesome, dude.
It's so good and so useful. And not so much in hockey, because it's rare for me to find a card I don't know of. There are definitely cards. Like there's cards I know of, but maybe not seen, or maybe just straight up don't even know about. But it's very, very, very few. I feel like I get influenced more in baseball than hockey.
All right. Logan, do you pretty much feel like you have the hockey landscape figured out? Like other than the 90s, like when it comes to Kane's rookie year and on, you pretty much nothing's going to really surprise you anymore.
Yeah, for the most part, but there might be one or two. I of course can't think of them right now, but there usually is. I mean, because it's primarily in that after 2009 to 2013, in those 4 years, because that's when I was at college, and then I got back into the hobby in 2013, 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, but those 4 years, I'll trip up on some stuff. Like, oh, didn't know that. But
well, I've got a question for you too, and for everybody watching now. This is one that I'm curious about myself, because again, I'm still fresh eyes, right? We've talked about that. Everything's still exciting for me that I see. Like there was a Fleury autograph that's on eBay right now. I've never seen it. I never put it on my want list, but it looks amazing. I'm like, how the heck did I miss this? You guys don't have that experience. So my question is, how do you keep the modern side of collecting hockey? How does it stay exciting? And like for the people watching, whatever sport you're collecting, when you know it front and back, there's no surprises really left, right? That you don't know about. What keeps it exciting? Go ahead. Whoever wants to go first. Like what is it that keeps it? Because it seems like you know what Brodeurs you want, you know what Canes you want, you know what he's got, you know what he doesn't have. So what is it that keeps you going?
I think there's enough cards on my list that I want that keeps it like exciting. Yeah.
The chase, right?
Yeah, it's about the chase. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many cards, right? Like I know I showed you that top 50, but like realistically, it's like a top like 500. There's just so many cards that I want,
especially ones that you've traded away and then got back, and you want to get them back.
Yeah, it's just a long list, but yeah, it's hard because there's so many cards. But like, I think the important thing is always stay focused on the cards that you really want. Because I mean, sometimes I'm like, when I like sit through my collection, I'm like, I like the card. Do I really need it? And then now I'm going through this process of like, should I downsize? Like, I don't know. That's my current thought process. Like, there's cards I'm like, they could be, I could trade them or like sell them or whatever the case, and then get other cards I do want. But that's just my thought right now. I'm probably not gonna do anything crazy yet, but we'll see.
It keeps things exciting in your head, right? Because there's that like back and forth. You're going like one day you're like, I'm gonna buy everything. The next day you're like, I only want 20% of what's in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. What about yourself, Logan? Because motivation and collecting, you and I joke about this all the time, but seriously, like, what is it? Other than the Canes, you know what's out there. You know what you want. You don't want. What is it that keeps you enthralled with the hobby, especially modern hockey?
I'd probably say that I mean, I like seeing what new designs are coming out, and like the extended series. There are so like there's so many. Like the last one, it didn't really receive that well. I don't think it received that well in the hobby, but it just was a lot of unique stuff that you don't see often. Like, when's the last time they made Ovation? When did they ever make a Reflections before that? Or those things, and it was just something different, and it kind of gave a Chronicles vibe to it.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good comparison.
And I do like the Chronicles. I wish there was more of an upper deck, like they did a whole thing. Let's actually do only one or two base cards, because I look back, I'm like, okay, so there's 30 Young Guns in this whole thing now, opposed to the 50, and so is the Kaliev actually going to be that much more desirable? That's all said and done,
right?
But it's probably design based, and then you kind of figure out, okay, well, would you want, say for example, I got the Kane already. Okay, well, would you want to find another player that you want to grab? Find you figure out the market and what the prices are, and you can say, well, okay, yeah, I'll grab a McDavid or whatever, just because I feel like that's a good price for him right now. Right. But
I think your ability to like really track the market, and Kelvin, you've noticed this too, right? And I'm talking with Logan, like you are in on the market, like you're viewing it as a whole, whereas like Kelvin and I know who like the hot and cold guys are, but like we're more tuned into like, dude, I can't believe that Brodeur sold for that little, or vice versa. Like, holy moly, like this Brodeur sold for twice as much as I thought it was going for. Like, we are in that lane with our market, right? Like, we're really focused in on our guys, whereas you are having fun, like tracking it as a whole. Like, ooh, let me grab that McDavid, that Matthews, that Marner. You know, these cards that fly under the radar. So I think you can do that in every sport too, though. You know, like there's definitely some fun to be had. Like getting sweet deals. I don't care what sport you're collecting. It's hard to beat that feeling, right? When you're like, I think you told me with that reflections that you got. Was it McDavid, the 50 out of gold? A gold out of 50? Like, dude, you're never going to guess how little I paid for this. Like, geez. That's not something I'm even looking for. So it is fun to do that for sure. I'm excited about Extended. I really am. I think they do a good job with it. And Sunrise Cardcast, they have Billy on there, and he was pretty excited talking about it last time he was on a couple weeks ago. He's already getting pumped about it. So it's like his baby. You know, it was his baby last year, and he likes bringing back all that old content, and I like it too because I remember growing up with Ovation in basketball and baseball. I remember Reflections in basketball and holographics, whatever you want to call it. Those cards were awesome back in the late 90s. The 99 baseball set with the awesome parallel with the gold, and then you had like the parallels of all the inserts, like the launchers and the launchers had like a gold foil on them. It was just, I would love to see them continue doing that, and it gives us something fun to chase from the secondary market. You know what I mean? So, yeah, cool. Well, that's awesome. I figured it was going to be market based, but that's good. That's good, man. I think it's always important to have motivation in the hobby, and I'm motivated by being on Instagram and interacting with people. People's excitement for cards usually gets my excitement back because I don't know how you did it, Kelvin, being a solo collector like that. Like Logan collected with his dad a bit, right? Growing up. And I think that motivates / influences you to kind of be on that level. Dude, I don't know how you did it by yourself, man. Like it's got to be, too. I know, but like, it's got to be nice now when you've got all of us, helping you spend more money, but just like people to, hey, look what I got. Oh, that's a cool card. Like you're just having this back and forth, and it keeps you, invigorated with the hobby. I mean, do you think it's helped long term to kind of keep you going, or do you think you'd still be doing this by yourself?
Oh, it definitely helped. Just because like I used to quit a lot. Like I used like 13, 14. I quit. Like I guess 14, 15. Actually, yeah, 14, 15. Like the beginning, I quit. It's just like I'm not feeling Brodeur and Blues stuff. I'm like, and then you're just not in stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then every couple of years, I'll be in it for like a couple months, and I slowly fade away. And then, the only interaction I used to have was like just on the forums, but then, around those times when I came back, like the forums are kind of like, not too much going on there. And then I just had all these cards and like, they're just sitting away in the box. I mean, they still are, but at least it's fun. Yeah. Just sharing and then talking to people and definitely, it's just fun talking to people about cards and help me connect with other Brodeur collectors and get me a lot of cards that are on my list. So yeah, definitely help long term. So yeah, very happy that I found something that's a more interactive forum.
Well, do you feel like Instagram's been that way for you too, Logan, as far as just like getting more interactions with people and kind of keeping you at least a little more excited with collecting and the hobby and whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows me what's out there, because I mean, I was aware of sets and stuff like that because when I first got back into it, it was 2013-14, and the Panini Contenders boxes got me back into it, and then what got me, and I ended up hitting a hot box, and I was like, oh gosh, this is amazing.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and then then I discovered breaks. And the first break that I was like on eBay, I was like, I don't know what this is, but like Calgary has Johnny Gaudreau and it's a premiere 1 box. Like, we'll try it, and then hit Johnny Gaudreau like RPA. I was like, oh,
What? Oh my gosh.
yeah, sure, yeah. And then I just did breaks for a long time and
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. But and then of course the dad comes back into it, and it's always nice. And the funny thing is I'll come home and dad will pick up blasters of Prism or football or whatever, and they're sitting in the corner back in the box so that he just opened them and just like, oh cool, put them back in the box. I'm like, these aren't even in plastic. What's going on here? But
what was it? You went and visited. This is when you and I first started chatting, right? I think it was last year. You went back and you were doing it. He had like Draisaitl just hanging out in a box. Like,
oh
you
yeah,
found all these great. He's like, Matt, look at what my dad just has hanging out around the house. Like Draisaitl, Young Guns, like got it graded. I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah. So I would just go like. He would randomly pick up hockey. He'd go down to the Twin Cities and just pick up a box of hockey or something. And I was just looking through his hockey box. I was like, "Wow, you have this, you have this, you have this! Like unbelievable stuff here." And and then I did grade some of his like Brady stuff, Tom Brady stuff, and it's like, hey, I'll do this But
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I don't know about Kelvin, but I know that if I lived in the same place as my father and he was collecting it, we would have so much fun, and it would be tough to not open stuff because that's what we did. Is when I was really young with my dad, we would open up boxes of Pinnacle and Pro Set, all that stuff. Yeah, it would be a problem. We'd be getting ourselves in trouble a lot. So, and if he were to collect a player, I don't know if he's going to watch this at some point. He'd probably collect Morgan Geekie or Yanni Gourde. He likes both of them a lot. Yanni Gourde because he's a Tampa fan, but he loves the Kraken. Live in Seattle, and he really likes watching Morgan Geekie play. He would never collect Grubauer for some reason. He doesn't like him at all. So he likes Decord. He thinks he should get more time. So anyway, it's fun to be talking to him, but it would be funny to watch him start collecting because he would have no idea. You know what I mean? Like I've gone to a couple of card stores with him in the Washington, Seattle area there. He's like, oh, I'll buy this Russell Wilson and I'll buy this, just a couple cards. And I'm like, hey, let me look at them real quick, make sure you're not getting like killed on the prices here. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So anyways, yeah, good stuff there, fellas. Let's think back to when you first got onto Instagram. So for most of us, I think, I mean, not just Instagram personally, but like collecting wise, you've been on there for how long, Kelvin, with your Brodeur stuff?
End of 2020, I think.
Okay, end of 2020. Same for you, Logan, right? Ish.
2019, like the summer.
Okay.
Or I think spring. I don't really know.
Actually, maybe not 20. Maybe end of 2019. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's too bad there's not a way to like sort from oldest to newest because it'd be nice to see where the first post was made. Mine was the spring when COVID first hit, so that's 2020, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. End of 2020 for me. Yep.
Yeah, spring 2020 for me. So yeah, Kelvin, you came on after that, but I'm curious, like. Looking back to that, go ahead, Logan.
No, you're fine. Yeah, mine was spring of 2020. Yeah, I was like, on like COVID-19. Like, was that like, trying to think when that timeline was. I was like, oh yeah, because 19 was technically in the fall. Yeah, my bad. But yeah, never mind.
No, it's all good, man. But yeah, looking back to that, like, just specifically keeping within this time frame, right? 2020 to now. So we're looking at 2.5 years later ish. Tell me an area where you feel like you have grown as a collector. What are you better at? What do you know more about? Something like that.
Yeah, better at not impulse buying.
Was it hard when you first got in then? Because you were just buying everything?
It was because there's a lot of cards I wanted that just never showed up for a long time. And then for everyone was just selling their stuff in like 2020, and I was just grabbing everything here and there, and yeah, it was hard. And then not opening packs is probably another one. I just got killed way too much, and enough was enough. I don't know how many blasters I opened of 1920 Series 1 just to find a Jack Hughes, but then not getting him at all. And I could just buy with that money. I could just straight up just bought one.
Can we just talk about you opening a box of 1314 Prism? That's like one of the most brutal products.
I would never
ever.
want to open that ever in my lifetime.
Horror
It's not worth
stories.
it.
No, but it's amazing on the secondary market, dude. I love that. All right, that's good. So no impulse buying, or better at impulse buying. What about yourself, Logan? Where do you think you've made the most growth since 2020?
I would say, not opening packs, because it was just, I was doing breaks, well, I lived at the time a couple hours away from a card store, so I would just always swing by when I was going to my parents and pick up a box on the way and pick up a box or two on the way back home. And I didn't go home much, so I can expand it or make it last a little bit. But it was just being a little bit more pickier with what I wanted, and I'm actually having a lot more fun not opening product. Yeah, sure, I get an itch every now and again, but I'd rather take the money and buy a cane than open.
Right.
So
it's amazing to think, isn't it? Like what you have to pay for an SP Authentic hobby box right now, and what you could get of your player for the same price. Like, just think about that right now. For everybody watching, if you don't collect hockey, isn't an SP Authentic box still like in the 300 range? Right?
Yeah,
it was $349 here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you get 3 autographs or 2 now?
Well, some boxes you don't get any, so.
Yeah, some people had nothing at all.
Yeah. Let's pretend you get 3 like you're supposed to, right?
I thought it was 2. For some reason, in my mind, I'm like,
it used to be 3, but then at some point they lowered it.
And the price went up. Okay, so for 2 on-card autographs, it could be, right, Morgan Geeky, who I like but doesn't sell very well, and then somebody else who barely plays. Those could be your 2 autographs, and then you get a bunch of like random inserts that aren't numbered, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. Think about what you could get of your player, multiple cards for $350, right? Yeah, US. Just think about that. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, if the box was $100, maybe you think about it, but that's what they used to be back when it was 2 autos, way back when. So, anyways, that's a discussion for another day. I know prices are starting to come down on boxes, though. I'm definitely seeing it. Like the I hate to use a baseball card here, but I have to show one. Kelvin and I have talked about this set a lot, the Platinum Anniversary.
Yes. Yeah.
Real cool cards, but like a box break is not great. Yo, there he is. What up, dude? Glad you made it. And like a box break, those are down to like $60. They came out like over 100. Now they're down to like 60, 65, $70. So like you're starting to see that, thankfully. But I was going to say EPAC. Logan's best or biggest growth is like staying away from EPAC, because it's so easy to just click like 3 times and you've spent $20,
Well,
but even now you're staying away from that, which I'm pretty impressed with.
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier at the, when I was living in the middle of nowhere, to be like, oh yeah, we can just buy packs whenever you want. So
yeah, I almost bought some upper deck packs, and I'm like, what am I doing for like $20? Like, first of all, this is what I charge for a session of coaching, so that would be ridiculous. I've already spent it. Secondly, I'm not going to get anything I want, likely. So let's not play the gambling game. So yeah, this is an interesting question. I think, to go with what Kelvin said, I think my biggest growth is like setting a very specific parameter for where money's going to go. Like, we're talking big money, right? Not like a $2 flurry that I need that I don't have in my binder. Those are fun to grab for the way I collect. But, when a nice autograph comes up, but I don't have it on the want list, being okay with just saying, you know what, that's a really good deal, but I still don't need it. Because those will add up, right? You spend 30, 20, 40, 50, and all of a sudden you can't buy the sweet Panini patch auto out of 25 for 150. Buy it now, right? You just can't just click it and have it. Now you spend all that money on other places where you don't really need them. And so I think that's my biggest goal and biggest growth since, probably springtime, is just knowing or being okay saying no and letting those cards go elsewhere. So yeah, I think that's important for everybody. It's interesting. Do you see a lot of guys selling out? Because I notice on forum, like Facebook, not forums, but Facebook, I'll see like, all right, I'm done, I'm selling. I see it at least once a week where people are like, need to sell the collection. I feel like a lot of people overspent the last 2 years, sitting on their rear ends at home, just working from home, not doing anything. What do you guys think that's going to do for the market for the rest of the year? Just off the top of your head, do you feel like when COVID first hit, are we going to see a big flood of stuff here pretty soon, or do you think things are just going to kind of hold steady?
No, I mean, maybe not so much in hockey. Maybe in other sports. I think hockey collectors just always hold their cards near and dear to their heart, and they never let go. And you'll never see them ever again.
You don't sound bitter or anything, that's for sure. Don't worry, I'm not either, bro. Don't worry.
I don't mean it in a bad way or like a negative way, but
but I get it. Yeah, like us, right?
Yeah.
Like we have cards that are near and dear to our heart. You can $250,000, just drop it off outside the door, and you can have it all. Go ahead. That's all I'm asking. Logan, I mean, again, you have a pretty good feel for the market. Are you seeing even now, like just a slight? Obviously, it's off season, but just in general, are you starting to see coming back down to earth, or is it just typical off season prices?
I think it's more. It is the typical off season prices, but right now I'm just kind of hockey's doing its thing. Let it just run its course. Like obviously, I mean, selling hockey right now, you're not going to do great, but it's just if you got to do it, you got to do it. But I'm kind of like looking at football. I'm like, okay, well, when's the football market's starting to heat up now that some of the product is starting to come out, and I'm watching that a little bit. But where's it going with this?
I'm just curious. Like, do you see though, like just the market going forward? A lot of people are starting to sell stuff. They overspent. Box prices are coming down. Are you going to see? Is hockey going to see that trend even once the season starts?
I just think that the rare stuff is going to trump the base stuff, and it's just like if you're trying to sell, I don't want to use Young Guns because Young Guns is like the what's the outlier. I feel like of base stuff, but it's like if you're going to see, let's say, a base Prism rookie, of whoever, and it's like, wow, it was $100, now it's slowly dropping. Like now nobody's going to want that, because I'm thinking like I'm still waiting for 40 some cards from PSA that I had submitted in like February, March of 2021. And yes, there is some base Prism football in there, but I'm actually more impressed that those guys are still relevant.
Right.
I was under the impression I'd probably get them back in 6-7 months, no big deal. But now we're looking at like 15. So
it'll be a fun reveal though. Hopefully you do another one on Instagram. That was fun the last time you did it. I don't know. I mean, I think it's always a constant debate between people, but looking like you and I, Kelvin, I look almost every day at sold listings, and I'm like, okay, because I know certain cards are ending, and I'm like, all right, I have that or I don't, and I have an idea for where it should be. And I mean, Fleury, he's thankfully for me, he's definitely come back down to earth, like big time. I mean, we're talking like 30%, maybe 40% on some cards. But for Brodeur being an established all-time great, the greatest goalie, arguably, are you even seeing that with him, or is it just holding steady still?
I mean, it depends on the card, but yeah, some of them have gone down. But yeah, it would have to depend on the card. But it's something like, I don't like Artifacts Parallel. It's probably like it's probably something super cheap. But then yeah, if you get to some of the tougher stuff, like slightly tougher, like maybe like refractors are probably still on the upper end, but like it did like maybe like 10-15%, maybe a bit lower, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
Interesting. Well, it's just something that I'm kind of paying attention to, and I'm expecting there, even after the season starts, minus like the guys who have a hat trick and then they do their teams on like a 5-game winning streak, have quick little, jumps. I'm just curious to see if we just are going to see that whole correction that everybody's talking about. So I don't know. I see it in my players market, but hopefully it continues that way. All right, I got one more question for you guys before we wrap it up. Short and sweet episode this week. As you guys have been talking today, I've been kind of thinking about this, and I was, when you go through and you scan an entire binder worth of cards, you have the chance to really sit back and look at the, so-called cheapies or the little guys, base cards, whatever you want to say, inserts, parallels, the ones, the EPAC specials, Logan, the 30-cent special on EPAC, because there's 50 of them and guys are trying to go lower than the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of, I know some of you have some cheaper cards, like every collector does, but for Logan and Kelvin, what would it take to make you keep a card that's less than $5 in your collection? Because Kelvin, you're starting to think about downsizing. Logan, you, other than Kane, you even talked about this not too long ago, how it's like all those different parallels really don't do much for you. What is it going to take to keep the little guys in your collections? The base cards, the parallels, the inserts, stuff like that.
That's a very good question. I've been asking myself that this whole week.
Well, maybe you're not going to. I mean, that's why I'm throwing it out there. I'm really curious. I like how both of you guys are looking right now.
All right. I mean, let's see.
Yeah,
you go through a thought process here.
Well, I guess what I'm asking though is I know what my answer is going to be, which is why I'm asking you. But we all have those kind of cards in our collection, and I see so many people do sales, $2 a piece, $3 a piece. Every card show has boxes like this, right? So, what makes you keep those in your collection?
They're cool cards. The thing is, with the cheaper ones.
Cool in what way though? What makes it cool?
They're shiny. They're just hard to come by.
Shiny. I knew you were going to say that first because that's your Achilles heel, man. It's a shiny card.
I mean, we just picked this card here. I think this is cheap. I don't know. It's the it's like Black Diamond Precious Gems out of 500.
There's some good texture on that too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a bit of texture. I have no idea. Maybe it's $5, maybe it's $10. I don't know. But I mean, yeah, it's shiny, numbered, not that high. I mean, it's just a cool card. But I don't think I would go through the hassle of selling all the cheap ones. I would probably just keep all the cheap ones, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's just be way too much work to offload all that.
Unless it's a big lot or something, right? You offload it as an entire lot.
Yeah, but then at that point, it's I mean. Yeah, I would just keep it at that point.
I have a great example here. Logan, you have something?
Oh, yeah. And I've thought about that. And, I've went through all my Kane cards that I have. And I've put them into these, the ones that I think that I like the most. I put them in the Ultra Pros. And the other ones are just sitting in a box and sleeves, penny sleeves. And I'm like, what's the common thing that they have? I mean, there's a few serial numbered ones in here. And just a card like this, it's MVP, but it's all-star, variation of it. I mean, it's rare, mm-hmm. But, obviously the shiny stuff, but, I like the canvases. I like the, if there's acetate, Synergy Blue, why do you have the Synergy Blue? Why do you have the red? Why do you have the green? I don't know. I mean, and looking through it, it's it'll be a lot more work just to sell it all.
Yep.
I grabbed all these for a reason at one point in time. I should put them in a book, if I want to. But for the most part, it's just, I don't know. I mean, how many color wheels do I need? How many rainbows do I need? How many?
One from every year, buddy.
Oh, I know, but there's some of them I got 3 or 4, and I'm like,
from the same year of the same player.
Yeah, Kane.
Oh, gotcha. What was your thought process back then when you were grabbing them, though? Because there had to have been a reason why.
I think the biggest part was I was just, I think I kept Kane on my wish list a little bit too long, and instead of just get one, who else am I going to get? I got Taze, and it's primarily that 16, 17 year I'd opened. That's probably the most I had opened, and I'd had a lot of extra players, and
mm-hmm.
It's yeah, just give me a Kane, whatever, just give me a Kane,
Oh, got it.
And next thing you know, I got 4 of them sitting in there. Okay, well, nobody. And that was before I was sending stuff to ComC and selling it too.
Well, I think again, it's very time consuming, but like taking a picture, if you don't have a scanner, like taking a picture of every card the same way or scanning it, you can find something to appreciate with almost every card, at least when it comes to goalies. I know Kelvin and I, we've talked about this already to death, right? Like goalie cards always look amazing because the setup, the way they're positioned, whatever. But I think there's a lot of reasons to keep some of these cheaper ones. And then my biggest thing is when you're growing up as a kid, this is all the only cards we had. We didn't have the patch autos. We didn't have the autographs. We didn't have the patches. We didn't have the low numbered parallels unless we got, stupid lucky on a box. We didn't have that stuff. So like, I look at it as you're kind of bringing that childhood back into collecting still, like keeping your roots grounded where they need to be rather than just, sure, you can just chase the top 10% and that's a lot of fun. But I think for me, I don't want to lose sight of the other side of collecting, and there's a lot to like about super cheap cards. Like this is like probably a 50-cent card, maybe $1 a flurry. How cool is that? I mean, it's not hollow foil. It's just regular gold foil. But I like stuff like this. I eat this stuff up. And, when we talked about this last week, when, things are going slow and you have kind of a downtime in your collecting, in your collection, I think this kind of stuff helps fill that gap, so my completionist in me lets me enjoy it too. There's that side little piece of it, so I just am curious, because it's a topic that, you ask like House of Cards. I'm going to guarantee he doesn't have anything like that in his collection. Probably not. Or, some of these other really big time collectors. But like Wet the Beak or whatever, I think they are targeting very specific high end cards where that doesn't do anything for them. So I guess my question was, does that do anything for you and why cards like that? So Kelvin, the picture has to matter, right? Like the picture of Brodura has to have something to do with it.
I mean, a little bit of everything. The thing is, I mean, for me, the cheap cards I would just keep. There's way too much hassle. But I think for me, consolidating is more. Well, my thought process right now is, I want to keep all this game used stuff, and I got rid of a lot of it, gave it to another doubles collector. But then I have some like this artifacts, like this. I don't know. This might be on the chopping block. It is jersey numbered, or like this. Honestly, this might be on the chopping block.
No,
yeah,
it's not. It's not.
And then like this strap, and then like these 1-of-1, the whole rainbow or the woe printing plate set. These might be on the chopping block. So I mean, those are the kind of cards I'm kind of like thinking about.
Bring the Dominion card back out.
Which
I need 30 now. The CCM logo.
Yeah, this one.
All right, I want you to describe to everyone out there why that's on the chopping block, because that is one of my favorites of Fleury by far. Yeah. So what is it?
I'm just not a game use guy. That's the only. I love this card. I really like this card a lot. But like, if I were to dwindle down the collection a little bit, I think the game use ones would go first. As much as I love the card, but yeah.
I'm going to influence you to not sell that card. Speaking of influencing, I don't know how good it's going to be, but Logan, where are you at when it comes to that kind of stuff? Do you find those kind of cards pretty exciting, or are you the same? Like, eh?
Game used jersey cards. That's where I'm kind of at. Like they're one color, like I'll see the red and the white all the time, but if there's a patch that has, some of the feathers, then I'll be like, oh yeah, well, keep an eye on that. That's as far as game use. I do like looking for those, but I don't know. I really haven't decided. Haven't told myself that I was gonna chop any of those off yet. So.
Yeah, I would be surprised, dude. Kevin, that card is awesome.
It is awesome. Don't get me wrong. It is awesome,
but there must be like 50 others that are better than that in your mind that you would rather have. And thing is, too, dude, is you're unlike Kane and Fleury, you've got the whole scope of the 90s that you're dealing with too. You've got the the atomic refractor, the platinum mirror gold. Sorry to bring that up, Z gold, but you know what I mean. Like you've got all those toughies plus all these other Panini cards and other cards that you'd like to have. Like you've got so much more that you have to, try to get. So there's only so much money. So I get it. It's just, I'd be sad to see that one go, man, because that's out of 4, isn't it?
For mine is out of 5, and then honestly, the 90 stuff, I might even yield some of it, to be honest, just because it's too much. Honestly, some of them getting too expensive, but I don't know. We'll see. It's like I'll still strive for them. If I'll see it, I'll make some sort of move for it, but like I'm not dying for it. Maybe it dropped down my list a little bit, but
interesting. I just am kind of getting the feeling though, and I saw Justin, is it Moladin, I believe. He's got a Tennessee logo on Instagram. He's got an amazing baseball collection. He did this, he took all of his cards and he consolidated them down into 10% of the amount that he had, but the 10% he has now are all like PMGs, essential credentials, all those super tough 90s inserts that are graded. That is what he's done. I get the feeling like you're not going to do that exactly, but you're kind of headed in that super cool cardboard direction, where you've got every Brodeur is a very substantial card, and that's fun because you will be on the hunt for a lot of those for a while, but you can use your other ones to trade and stuff. So I'm sure there's other collectors that are kind of headed that way, right? Headed to where the big dollar cards are going to be. So
yeah, the thing is, like, I love gold, like MVP gold scripts, like UD exclusives, like the SP authentic limited, like out of 100, I like those ones. Like cool. I still like all those cards. It's just if the cards, it depends on the card. I don't think there's like a specific category for me other than like game use, I guess, and like autos and stuff. But like,
yeah, you like autographs more than anything, right? I'm just kidding. I know you don't. Because there's so many.
There's so many. I'm very specific about which ones I want. So,
right. Okay, so you're still figuring out kind of like what that's going to look like, but you're starting to head that way a little bit.
Yeah, just because realistically, you just can't have every Brodeur. So it's still a work in progress. So we'll see how I feel. I mean, my mind probably will change tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe I'll keep the CC.
Are you going to quit tomorrow and then decide you're coming back the next day? I wouldn't blame you.
I had that thought process before. I used to be like, man, sometimes I'm just like, man, should I just sell it all off? Sometimes I'm like, I'm never going to do it, but it's just kind of like that thought in my head. I'm like, man, what would I do if I just sold it all off and like restart brand new?
I thought about that for about 30 seconds the other day. Like, let's just sell all the PMGs as one. I could pay for my vacation and more. And I'm like, wait a second, that would be awful. So that was not a good thought. Logan, have you been, thinking too, like with all the canes, we talked about this, like doing card shows and stuff. Have you thought about kind of consolidating down? I mean, that's because there's so much. You can't get all the canes out there. So,
well, I think I've, of what I have right now, I'm probably not going to move. But like if I have duplicates, then I would be more so apt to doing that. But
right.
I've kind of started to consolidate really in my mind, like of what I'm going to buy, and stuff like that. Because like I mean, as much as I want, it'd be nice to have all the Opachi Platinum parallels, but I was just like, I'll just try to get like the numbered ones. That's fine, or the pond hockey or. And stuff like that.
Right.
But I mean, I pretty much axed MVP. Like I used to like, oh yeah, it'd be kind of cool to have all the parallels, and they're only really ones I really, really. My favorite one is the colors and contours.
They're nice.
Numbered out of 8, I have, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably my favorite out of them. But it's like now they're numbered out of 20 and numbered out of 3, and it's like. For numbered out of 3.
It's funny you brought up the Opachi Platinum because I just scanned all those today, minus the autograph, these two right here. But like, I love seeing these all together, and I think that's what keeps me motivated to get these. Oh my, there's 199 of those, and there's who knows how many rainbows there are. There's probably 1,000, and obviously the nice, like the 15 and the 25, like those, but like seeing them all together, and like it really kind of keeps me interested in seeing these cards, and I'd be interested to hear what Kelvin would say if Brodeur was in more of these sets to see if he'd be able to resist some of this stuff, because it's easy for you to not go for all that stuff when he's not in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then Kelvin's like, well, Kane's always in there, so whatever. He'll have the next 20 parallels, and then me, still new to me. So I think they're all cool. So it's interesting to hear your guys' viewpoints, and maybe there'll be a time where I'm just kind of like, kind of slow down on that kind of stuff. But I'm also looking at, he's only got 2-3 years left in the league. So who knows how many of these he's going to have ever again. So it's fun to put them all together and see them all as one, minus the 101, which we already know where that's going to go. So it doesn't count. But I hear you, dude. It's some people just go crazy over that stuff, and it's not for everyone. And there's a lot of them out there. So he's really good about telling me too, Kelvin. He's like, don't spend this much on the ATA 199. Just wait till EPAC. I'm like, all right, fine. And then EPAC shows up and they get for like $2.
Yes, you always gotta wait.
Yeah. Well, Calvin, when you had when Brodeur was in there, was he 18, 19?
Yes, 18, 19. Yeah, 18.
Yeah.
19, yeah.
So how did you handle that?
I was kind of around then. I did pick up like some of the cheaper ones, but I didn't tackle most of them until like this past year. So I do have all of them, minus the rainbow. I think there's a color wheel that year, and the golden treasures, which a work in progress. I know where it is. It's a work in progress.
I know where it is.
I know where it's a work in progress. But high price tag, but we'll see if it gets done. But yeah, for me, that was his first Devil's Rainbow. 1415 does not exist in my eyes. It's not a real set as much as it's the first one.
Let's see how fast I am here.
It's just not a real set. It doesn't exist. Never heard of it. 1516, he has a retro rainbow. That's a cool one. But yeah, it's easy for me because it's his only one. So for me, I can justify it. Now, if he comes back a little more frequently, like say they do it like every other year, then I would be like, all right, I don't need all of them. I'll just grab maybe like one of the parallels for each of the years. Oh, I do have that card actually.
I don't know. Can you see anything on the screen now? I figured your screen would be blank.
Yeah. Never seen that card before.
That's funny. Well, and like that's a great question, Logan. Like, how can I phrase this for Logan? If Kane didn't make it one year, which would be preposterous, like there's no way he would not make O-Pee-Chee Platinum. But if he didn't make it, I mean, would that motivate you to maybe start chasing some other ones because there isn't a current set to go after, or would that not do anything for you?
I mean, I'd probably take. Oh, I'd open a box regardless. I pretty much open one box every year, but it just wouldn't. It'd be like, oh, okay, just move on. It'd be in something else. Maybe, or focus on like, hey, okay, well, let's just focus on your, what's another player you'd pick up another, card of or something like that. But I just knew that Brodeur only had the blues in 14-15, and then
the 18-19, yeah.
It was one of the first things he and I ever talked about was the last O-Pee-Chee Platinum and like it coming out and wondering if Brodeur was going to be in there and talking about the Cosmic Parallel because I still think that's one of the coolest that they've ever done. But if Brodeur got in it, it would be interesting to see how you would handle that because he just doesn't get in a whole lot. Like obviously Stature was really fun for you to watch you kind of put that together. And if he ended up getting in Platinum, it'd be interesting to watch the way that you would go after things because the three of us have not chased a player in the same set once because, certain guys don't get in the check. Brodeur doesn't make it. Fleury doesn't make it. Kane always makes it. But, when it's just me and Logan, Logan's like, I don't need the pond hockey. And I'm like, dude, if Fleury got one, I would be all over it. So it's interesting to see that, but it'd be fun to see where all of us, 3, 4, 5 of us were all chasing a player from the same set. And it'd be interesting to see how people would, approach it. Because the seismic golds tend to show up early on and you can get those, they're in that certain range. So you can try to get one, but then it's like the aquamarine and the red prism and the yellow tracks. Gosh, those were selling for like 20 the first 2 weeks. And they're out of 249, I think. I'm like, what? Are people confused? They think these are golds? Like, what is going on? And now you go on ComC and they're like $3-4, So those higher number ones are always easy to just kind of wait on, But when it comes to like the Stature Black or the seismic gold, or even the orange checkers, emerald surge. That's where you got to be careful, because if they show up early, they're going to command more, obviously, than they would a month later, 2 months later. So it's you don't know when you're going to see those again. So it's really an interesting game to play, and hopefully we all get a player in a set at some point coming up, because it would be interesting to see who can get the best deal, because all of our players, or 3 of us, are kind of in that same price range. I think Kane is probably a little bit cheaper than Fleury right now. Fleury's a little bit cheaper than Brodeur, right? They kind of are just tiered that way. So it'd be fun to see who could score when Kelvin got like the $20 seismic gold. Haha, suckers. You never know what would happen, but it would be fun. Hopefully we do get to experience that someday with like a, extended series or something like that, where they all get into the same set, some retro stuff.
Metal Universe.
Oh gosh, don't even get me started. I am still bitter, because I know if he makes it, I have to collect a PMG of him in a Blackhawks uniform. At least the red PMG will look sick, right? Color match. Anyways, Metal Universe. Let's hopefully we get that in the fall here, or early winter. That'll be fun. Well, cool, fellas. I enjoyed the discussion. Hope you did too. Always good talking to you and just hearing your thoughts. I think whenever we get together, and I hope it's the same for the people that are listening now and that listen later, is it just gives them time to reflect on their collections and some of the reasons why they do what they do. And don't make me start consolidating, either of you. Don't motivate me to do that yet. I'm not ready. It's too early. Just keep it to yourself, Calvin. Just motivate me to buy stuff, But yeah, cool. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And we are going to be recording. I'm going to be recording with Tim and Alex. You get to meet Alex for the first time. And we're going to have that episode live for you next week. So hope you guys have a good one. And thanks for sticking around. See ya.
Yep.